Okay, next up is Megamind, and this is the latest animated flick. And then, of course, hey, big shock, it's in 3D. You know, I'd like to see a Michael Moore movie in 3D sometime. That'd be something we're seeing. You'll probably see the specks of sesame seeds from Burger King on his chin or something. Who knows? But anyway, yes, that was a Michael Moore fan joke. But anyway, yes, this is Megamind, and I gotta say, this is a film that kind of just seemed to borrow from, at first, at least on the surface, looked like it was just borrowing from, you know, a landmark film like The Incredibles. But here, I gotta say, they kind of do something a little special here, but not quite as special as many of the animated films I've seen this year. The opening, what I love is the opening sequence of this film. It kind of goes back to the old, you know, Superman movies with Christopher Reeve back some 30 some odd years ago. And it kind of, I guess you could say, I like when animated movies do like the subtle, you know, reference to the live action thing it's borrowing from. Because a lot of the animated films just borrow from live action things, like, you know, little nuances borrowing from live action films, like big hits, big blockbusters from the past. And sometimes just parodying that aspect. The Incredibles did it better, but this in itself has its charm. Now, I gotta say, now this is narrated, of course, by the bright blue alien over flashbacks of his infancy, and I love how, again, this whole thing is done. He's born on a distant planet, you know. He meets, you know, his lifetime nemesis, a golden child who lands, you know, and who lands on a lap of, you know, luxury and whatnot. And the blue child lands in prison and is raised by, of course, convicts. Now, as they grow up, these two super beings are destined to, you know, play roles in a nearby metro city. You know, that's just how it's always done. They're named Megamind, voice of Will Ferrell, and Metro Man, voiced perfectly, of course, by Brad Pitt. Now, we may remember that Superman was actually given his name by Lois Lane, and here the story is of two super beings covered by TV reporter named Roxanne Ricciuti, played by Tina Fey, and Roxanne's cameraman Hal, played by, of course, voiced by Jonah Hill, looking rather like Jonah Hill, actually, morphs into a third superhuman being named Titan. Now, this setup is, of course, you know, bright and amusing, and, you know, it does feel recycled from, you know, whatever, like, again, like I said, mentioned The Incredibles earlier. But, and again, it even kind of borrows even a bit of scenes from Despicable Me. I know that's kind of impossible since they're being made around the same time, but you get what I'm trying to say. Maybe if this came out a bit sooner, I may have appreciate certain things more. But it goes as far as naming, you know, Megamind's fishy sidekick, Minion. He's played by, voiced by David Cross. A nod to the minions who, you know, serve to the Despicable Group. Now, I enjoyed Megamind's, you know, conclusion after being, you know, bullied as a child, and, you know, that he can't get credit for anything. He might as well become a supervillain. You know, I guess you could say, you know, the villains need a bit more of a life, I guess you could say, in movies like this. I'm glad this is what this movie, it kind of did. And, you know, this is accomplished, you know, Megamind actually, sorry, he does defeat a Metro Man, but now he has left without an opponent. Now his life is boring, and that's what I like where the idea of this movie is, of course, he clones Titan to cure his loneliness. Now, all of this is, of course, accomplished with, you know, really funny scenes and whatnot. But, you know, this time, what I love too is with the character of Roxanne. She's not smitten by anyone. She just is just kind of, you know, in the middle of it, but not really, you know, the Lois Lane type of thing going for her. Now, the thing about this movie too is that it's really well done in terms of its, you know, what it parodies. But the problem is that it's been done better before, and even earlier with Despicable Me. Even though I didn't think Despicable Me was overly brilliant in its own right, but there were certain aspects that could have been done a bit better. Either way, this was an enjoyable experience. Megamind does have its captivating moments, and I give it 3 stars out of 5.